Hi guys, this is Polly Jo Labbe. I'm here with you for Chakra Sessions on Star Nations Radio Network. And we are excited today. Happy Halloween for those of you who celebrate that. And even if you don't, it's a great time to release all the dead things in your life. So I encourage you to sweep out the old and make room for the new. There's so many traditions around that are really cool. And it's a great day to kind of gather up and do that. To many of my friends in the Massachusetts area who are without power, thank you for taking the hit for me so that I had power to do my show. I decided that was what the universe was making sure, that I could be here with you, and a few of my friends generously took the hit for me. So welcome again to Chakra Sessions. This is our last broadcast for October, which is really neat. And on this day, it's all about kids, right? It's about kids celebrating and getting to dress up and become someone different or someone they've always imagined they wanted to be. And Halloween can be a time of like dreaming and magic. And it's also time for kids to get rewarded with their treats for being adventurous enough to become someone else. And imagine if we carried that through our lifetime every single day, where we rewarded ourselves when we decided to become who we really are inside rather than hiding it. And, sometimes we like to bring out our dark side. There's some really cool dark costumes that are out there. But lots of times it's sort of how you imagine yourself or who you wish you were that you like to dress up as. And so when I was thinking about Halloween, my guides were kind of steering me in the right direction, and as they always do, even when I'm not listening, they really were clear of that it's a day for us to do some healing on our inner child, because our inner child is the one who holds all of our joy and our love and our wonder about life. And most of the time when we get busy adulting, we kind of get doing things and doing our to-do list, and we start to slide out of the energy of joy, especially. And when we aren't finding those times of joy and times of wonder, we also shut down our capacity to love as fully as we are capable. And as we kind of dampen, we dampen everything. And as we head into this sort of dark season, we have less and less sunlight. It gets important for us to really spark from within, and that comes from our inner child, because we need to light up the dark around us so that we can feel fully, ourselves and fully comfortable in the world around us. There are a lot of people who start to experience things like seasonal depression. And really, the way I have seen it energetically for a little while is your personal sun, which is in your third chakra, it gets coated in a layer of black. And in the layer of black, it's really all about this cloud of darkness that surrounds you, kind of like pig pens, from the Peanuts. He had that cloud of energy that was always following him. And when you are in that cloud of darkness, it's really hard to find the joy and the love and the wonder. But if you think about how we are as young children, they get so excited when they find their toes. It's like the biggest adventure that they've had, or when they see a butterfly for the first time, and when they touch something that's really, really soft, that they were not expecting, or the first time they go into water. It's always so interesting to see how they adventure into water. And part of their reaction is how you respond as well. So when we look at our own inner child, we know that along the way, some of the wonder and the joy and the love was withheld at some point. Our parents, our teachers, our neighbors, our friends may have given us conditions. We could only have joy if we did our chores or we behaved a certain way. We only got to have love if we were in a particular space or a particular way. A lot of us women had a good girl archetype that we had to follow. And not that you don't have a moral compass. We all have a moral compass, but pure joy can be just, seeing somebody blow bubbles and the different shapes and sizes and the rainbows contained in them. Recently, we had a beautiful workshop with a wonderful man, James Dempsey, who loves to do music and dancing out your negativity. So you dance your negativity out, and then you bring love and joy in. And as part of that, there were bubbles that we could play with, and rattles and different drums and things. I personally took the Winnie the Pooh rattles because Pooh is one of my totem animals. So the fact that I got to do that was so great. And the joy in that kind of expanded in some of the women who were blowing bubbles inside where the soap might get on the floor. And they weren't getting yelled at and could dance around however they wanted to. It was great to see them going through a process of reclaiming their inner child. And one of the things that happens is we often hide our inner child in a part of our energy system that's not meant to fully support it. So you can imagine if your inner child was in your third chakra.
Yeah.
In the third chakra, sorry, started clearing already. Then it's in a place where there's a lot of anger and a lot of fear and a lot of self-doubt and a lot of worry. So you can imagine a child filled with all that. And we've all seen children who are filled with that. And that's not safe and secure and loving and allowing them to express themselves. That's not a child who's going to finger paint and play in the mud and make, use special mud pies. They're ones who are going to sit on the side and maybe do nothing. Or they'll do something to really follow the rules so carefully that they don't remember how to access their joy. And if we stick our inner child in our second chakra, there's a lot of emotion there. So you may have someone who's crying sometimes and mad sometimes, but you also may have a child who gets really caught up in addictive behaviors. There's a huge epidemic of addictions that are going on right now on the planet. And most of that, when I look at the people who are experiencing that and look at their energy field, one of the things I'm seeing is that their inner child is not in their heart, and they are in this wounded animal phase. So they have such a wounded inner child that they're responding in their primal animal phase. And they're trying so desperately to get out of the darkness that they'll do anything to feel joy again. And so unfortunately, things like drugs and alcohol and other things, people think will bring them joy, and it might in a very short amount of time. But they're putting their lives online for a one little hit, let's say, of joy. So if we could heal our inner child and show other people how to heal their inner child, we can start to remove the need for external drugs and things like that, because those are all things that are feeding our wounded child. So I know that's a lot to kind of take in, but you can imagine, this child. When I first met my inner child, let me put it this way. I had a lot of childhood trauma. Much of it was repressed. And the first time I took a journey to meet my inner child, she was hiding in a corner in a very dirty dress and ratty hair and kind of rocking herself and very snarly. And I could feel that. And I went in as my inner adult to take care of her, to bring her out, to clean her up, to love her up, to give her time to play, and to remind her that she didn't have to be that way anymore, because I could parent her and I could change her life again. And when we do journey work like that and we sort of reclaim that inner child, it reverberates into our current life. So you start to feel more playful and more joyful and more able to do things. I'll tell you, I'm still not a really good kid in the mud. There's just, I have a teacher, a goddess teacher, who is helping me reclaim my my feminine power, because it felt like it was a little bit depleted, especially since this summer. The summer's been very tumultuous on the earth. I've really felt in tune with Earth Mama's energy, and the more depleted she felt, the more depleted I felt. So it felt like time to call in that goddess warrior energy to heal her and heal me at the same time. And so part of that is I'm supposed to go out and roll around in the mud. And I completely own that I have not done it. Partly because I'm in Massachusetts and it is not that warm out any longer. So this would be a very cold, muddy process. But how many of us were allowed to do that as kids? I wasn't allowed to get dirty as a kid, so I had to avoid all activities that had to do with that. So I'm working my way up. I'm doing things like cooking things that are really messy, that you have to cook with your hands, and not, washing them all the time, just really letting that go, and doing different things that just normally would have upset me. So, yeah, a spa with mud baths or seaweed wraps would be good. I've done the wraps before, but the mud bath, yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I think I'm going to have to put it on my New Year's list. There are always things that I try to do in every new year that push me out of my comfort zone. And a mud bath would definitely be one of them. But that is something that would free my inner child, right? You can see how all of a sudden giving my inner child permission to get gross and dirty and actually enjoy it would be really, really cool. So as we go through this, I keep thinking about all the ways that kids were allowed to play or not allowed to play, depending. In my age group, it really had a male-female divide. My husband, his mom let them play in them. I mean, she sprayed down part of their lawn so that it turned into this big monster truck thing. And she did it with my boys. And then there was a ritual of the hose off before you were allowed back in the house, because it was just normal in their house. Me being an only child and a girl with academic parents, it was much better for me to be reading or writing or, doing something quietly. And I did dance quite a bit. At least I could dance in different places and play music. And that helped me move my energy. But messy wasn't one of my things. So I really encourage you guys to think about ways that you have not been allowed to be a child yourself. We all have things that we regret. There may be toys that we wanted when we were a kid we weren't allowed to have. I wasn't allowed to have an easy bake oven. And I stressed about that for years. So much so that at some point, I think we'd been married about 10 years. My husband finally bought me an easy bake oven, and a pink one, a Barbie one, because I wasn't allowed to have Barbies either, because Barbies didn't have an appropriate female representation, and my mom's very beautiful feminist. So we need to remember or learn how to play. It's absolutely true, because most of us get caught up in, like I said earlier, in adulting. When we're busy adulting, we forget to play. And adult play doesn't have to be the same as child play, but why not? When, adult coloring books are a huge thing right now. I have a little issue with coloring books personally, because for me, coloring had to do with staying within the lines and coloring appropriately. And I think coloring books are great if it helps you, and if you don't stay in the lines, even better. But don't let that anxiety get back to you, I love doing meditations where we just free draw and just allow the crayons or the paints to go wherever they're going to go, and you don't worry about actually making a picture. So that, for me, is a way to kind of, yay, now she's got her crayons. Yes. I have crayons for a different reason. I use them as a teaching tool to deal with healing energy. But my students here at the Trinity School of Mystical Energy Healing, they each have their own box, and it's their creativity box. And in the creativity box, it has crayons and pencils and thin markers and fat markers and anything that you need to create with. And what's really cool about it is there's times when we've been doing work, and I can see the inner child getting grumpy. And sometimes we dance, and sometimes we pull out our art supplies and everybody does coloring, especially when we're doing things around creation and manifestation. And there was this really cool time last year when I had them pull out their creativity boxes, and they named each of their own boxes. They made it a name, gave it a name, and they're all of these adults all around the room, no tables, and everybody's like laying on their floor with their legs crossed up, or their tongue sticking out, and they're drawing. I felt like I was in a kindergarten classroom, because they were so intent on all of their stuff, and it made my heart just kind of like explode, because they were all so into their drawing, and what they were making. And, some people had their pencils lined up all neatly, and some had them spewed all over. And it was great because there were no rules. They just got to create whatever they wanted to. And you can do that type of activity for you anytime you want to. One of my favorite activities to do is to make manifestation boxes or wish boxes. And all you have to do is have just a little small box. It can even be one that something else was in it, but you decorate it however you want to. And you use that box to put everything that you would like Spirit to help you with. And that way it's not swirling around in your head, because the inner child doesn't carry 4 million to-do lists in their head, right? They are in a space of knowing that, some grown-up's going to help remind them when it's time to do something, right? So put those things aside for when you need them. But if you ask Spirit to help you with them, then you're setting that intention that you've got someone, something that's working on that. So right now, what I'd really love to do is to do a healing on our inner child, so that you can kind of bring the joy and the love and the wonder back into your life. And what a great day on Halloween to bring your inner child back on, because this is like one of the favorite days for children. It's such a big holiday. It's such a big expression of themselves and their dreams and their wishes and who they could be. It can be such a great thing. I saw a bunch of kids trick-or-treating on Friday at a local, well, not too local, it was in Maine, at Kittery. There's some outlets that are there. And at the outlets, all of the outlets that are all over that place, there's many, many, and they're on two different sides of the street. But they had trick-or-treating set up safely for children, so that all of the stores had candy and treats for them. And the parents could just walk with strollers, and it was covered over so nobody would get wet or cold. And the happiness and the joy of these kids and the ability to do things. And there were even some kids who were there who were like older, who were giving out the candy. There was this sweet little girl who was 11, who was there, dressed up as Wonder Woman, handing out candy. And that you could see how happy that made her to be giving on that day and helping other children with their Halloween. So, so if you guys ever want to know more about, creating a wish or a dream box, I'd be happy to help you. It's very similar to a manifestation board in terms of what you might use for it. But I find that most people, when they do a manifestation board, put too much stuff on it. So Spirit doesn't know where to start. If you pick your top 3, then it's really focused and it can happen quickly. When you ask for like 27 things to happen, each one gets taken care of a little bit at a time, and it's a lot harder. So it's kind of like when with my kids, you take them into the toy store and you're like, pick your top 3 and then pick one. And it's not that the other 2 disappear, it's that they can ask for them at another time. It's the same thing with Spirit when you're trying to call in some new energy. And I don't know about you guys, but most of the really strong people who have a really good inner child, a really healthy inner child, their manifestation ability is like off the charts, because it doesn't occur to them. They're not going to get it. Like, right? It doesn't occur to them that it won't happen. Like a child who believes in Santa Claus, they manifest their whole thing. The minute there's like doubt and worry, then things start to fall apart. So the minute you can access your inner child and allow your inner child to create the joy and the love and the wonder in your life again, then things will start happening really quickly. And I'll tell you from experience, when your inner child goes offline or goes back to their wounded state, and you're back in a space where you need to love them up and bring them up, things kind of slow down energetically for you. And that's okay, because it's usually a time of repair and reconstruction because things weren't working in your life. But when your inner child can be working with you perfectly in harmony, you guys can be like a dynamo team, creating new things and new wonderful experiences in your life. So, as always, I love to do a healing meditation with you guys. And this one is all about our inner child. And so I really want you to get comfortable, because our inner child likes comfort, right? They hate stiff backs. They hate all that stuff. So just do your best to kind of get cozy in your space. And you're going to hear me make a lot of noise, I'm sure. That's me clearing and removing energy for you, for me, for anybody who will watch it in the future, because we all have things that are blocking our inner child from really moving. Perfect, Carla Jo. Carla Jo is saying when she writes fiction, she always turns to her inner child. Well, of course, because who's got the best imagination? There is infinite possibilities when you're in your inner child. It's the inner adult who's putting boundaries and some very tight restrictions on who you can be and how you can be, or how you can achieve what you want to. The inner child doesn't occur to them. There are boundaries, so they're a much better fit for you. So we're going to create a sacred space, as we always do. And we're going to take a couple of deep breaths. And in each breath, we're going to kind of release any doubt or worry or anything that is squeezing our personal joy, our love, or our wonder.
Yeah.
And we don't have to know anything about what it is or how it is. We're just going to really use our breath to release whatever is stuck and not working at this moment.
Yeah.
Oh, Carla Jo, I love that. Love not having any boxes or lines.
Yeah.
So really, we would like to create a sacred space where we feel completely surrounded, secure, and protected. Knowing that this space needs to feel as much like that as possible for our inner child to kind of venture forward.
Yeah.
So in our breathing, we're releasing any stress, any worry, and anxiety.
Yeah.
Anything that might be slightly fear-inducing for our inner child.
Yeah.
And we're going to call in our angels, our guides, our ancestors, all of the divine of the highest vibration available to us in this moment. And that includes God or Goddess, Great Spirit, Creator, however you phrase your connection with the divine. Our inner child is very much in tune with the divine flow and the divine energy. Notices it, it recognizes it. It feels safe when that energy is flowing.
Yeah.
We set the intention that this healing is for the good of all and harm to none, which includes ourselves and our inner child,
Yeah.
and all the inner child energy that we may reach today and every future day.
Yeah.
We allow the energy of the divine to gently open our divine connection through our crown and our third eye.
Yeah.
And imagine it is a gentle white light shining a spotlight or flashlight for the inner child to see and sense and remember
Yeah.
that the light is shining brightly for them and for their safety. And as the energy begins to clear away the swirling thoughts in our brain, the
Yeah.
ways we become so adult we forget our inner child, our inner knowing.
Yeah.
Really clearing the pathways of self-expression and creativity. Where the inner child excels in this energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of simply expressing who they are and how they feel in each and every moment.
Yeah.
And as the energy moves down, allowing the stress and the burdens to fall off the shoulders so that the density of the energy begins to diminish.
Yeah.
Too much pressure makes it hard to stretch and breathe fully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of you have some energy blocked in the back of your throat, within the base of your neck.
Yeah.
Maybe causing you headaches.
Yeah.
Just really allowing that energy to fill up with peace and calm and serenity.
Yeah.
And as we go into the lungs and the heart, we begin to surround and protect our beautiful heart with the fullness of the divine oxygen, the fullness of life and the breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And as the oxygen gets clearer and fuller and lighter,
Yeah.
our inner child feels safer and safer to venture forward.
Yeah.
By opening the chambers of the heart like these beautiful rooms and doors,
Yeah.
the heart can become a safe haven for the inner child.
Yeah.
For if the inner child resides in a chamber within the heart, it is constantly filled with love and joy.
Yeah.
When we focus love and joy to be shared with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then moving down into the belly, into our third chakra, into the sun energy, our fire. We want to remove any residue that may be around our sun, blocking our light, any doubt, worry, anxiety, fear, frustration, shame, blame, or guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when the inner child senses those energies, they often go into hiding.
Yeah.
So by holding space and gently releasing,
Yeah.
you are making more and more room for your inner child to shine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of you have a little bit of work to do in there, and that's okay. But just set the intention that even though things may feel a little unsteady right now, you love and accept your inner child, however and whoever they may be, in each and every moment.
Yeah.
And that they are separate from who your adult sometimes needs to be.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then moving down into your second chakra, there's a lot of energy flow in there for all of you, but that's where all the creative juices flow for the inner child. So imagine that's where the box of crayons is. So the more juicy and the more colorful and the more clear it is, the more play is possible.
Yeah.
So you have many crayons and many paints.
Yeah.
All which can flow into beautiful designs and beautiful pieces of new artwork and new pieces of self.
Yeah.
And allow that energy to anchor into your pelvis and into your hip bones and into your pelvic floor so that it is taking root down into Mother Earth. It is moving down your legs and down your feet, creating this beautiful connection, this deep, deep rooted connection, so that the inner child can feel the tree of life that resides within you and how it is filled up by the divine Mother Earth, or Grandmother Earth, and the divine energy above of creation.
Yeah.
And think about how happy and comfortable our inner child can be with the trees, climbing them, living in them, playing in them. How grounding and supporting they feel, and how their branches just reach to the sky in a way that our inner child and ourselves can reach to the divine as well.
Yeah.
Now gently ask your inner child to join you in your heart chamber. Doesn't really matter which chamber of the heart that the inner child moves into. You may visualize holding their hand and gently escorting them there. Well, once they reach inside your heart chamber, allow them to decorate the space the way they want to. So they may paint the walls of the heart, or they may splatter it in glitter. They may bring in some animal totems or animal friends, or magical creatures like unicorns or Pegasus to fill the space with them. So as they're in the heart chamber, they're creating their own room. So they're painting it how they want to see it. They're bringing in the animals that they want to share with it. They may be bringing in magic, like their own magic wand, or a tiara, or a pen and paper, and even a sword. Because maybe that's what they need to feel in control and safe. So allow them to create that inner chamber, their own space to live within your heart.
Yeah.
And don't get too adulty with it. Allow it to evolve however it is meant to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now invite in your own personal magic. What I mean by that is your own creation energy. How you are meant to create, who you are meant to create. And allow your inner child to kind of play with that for you.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to help you with your job. Maybe they're going to help you with your wardrobe. Maybe they're going to help you redecorate your house. Maybe they're going to help you write that book you've been trying to write.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to help you shop for a new car. But allow your inner child to have some creative projects to help you with, so that You have joy and wonder in those tasks that you have to do.
Yeah.
And where you feel the inner child in your heart chamber is where you will turn to energetically to call upon that joy, love, and wonder that you need to use to help create and manifest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're just going to gently allow the energy to move out through our aura.
Yeah.
So that we radiate the joy and the love and the wonder today. And if you feel yourself disconnecting from it, go back to your heart chamber, to your inner child, and imagine this beautiful beam of light coming out in front of your heart and behind your heart, like this heart beam. And your inner child will tell you what color it's meant to be. Maybe it's a rainbow. Maybe it's a specific color. Maybe it's polka dotted. And just allow your inner child to play with your heart energy. So anytime you feel stuck in tasks today or in doing or responsibility, allow that heart beam to kind of shine out and let the inner child sort of radiate through your aura and allow you to have some more possibilities
Yeah.
in your life. And I want to just take a moment to thank our guides and our ancestors and all the divine beings who've been present for this healing meditation, helping us reclaim our inner child, and reminding us the purity that we carry within us, the pure joy, love, and wonder that can create so much change within our own lives and the lives of people around us. So thank you for coming and assisting us with this healing today.
Yeah.
And gently allow any extra energy to flow down into Mother Earth, because she can certainly use it. And bring yourself back into your awareness, into the room, into the body that you inhabit at the moment.
Yeah.
So one of the things that kind of came through as information, which happens to me often
Yeah.
in healing meditations, is that for those of you who do a lot of healing work, the inner child is really, really key, because we get caught up in our responsibility of taking care of the planet and we forget to take care of ourselves. But in addition, those of you who do have done past life healings, well, Robin, I am so glad you stayed too. Because boy, I think everybody needs the inner child healing. And those of you who do a lot of deep healing work and have done some past life work, you can go back and heal the inner child from your past lives. And so what's really cool is when you do that, you can imagine, you can sort of sense that when you heal the inner child in a past life, the wounding doesn't carry forward. So it starts to release the energy out of there. And so I've done healing work where, we put the inner child basically on the healing table and we heal them through each lifetime that is willing to present itself. And you actually see the facial features of the person shifting as that's occurring. But lots of times, like their face, the lines on their face become clearer, and because they're not carrying all of those wounded children with them. They're showing those children that they became adults who then moved forward in their lives, and they didn't have to stay in that kind of hidden corner in pain. And this works really, really, really well with people who have trauma, especially post-traumatic stress trauma, because they are in a very heightened sense of an inner child in distress. And you can almost see that in them and feel that in them. And it can almost look animalistic because they're lashing out in that way. And the way that occurs is, we have to remember that children aren't always verbal. So if the wounding took place in a pre-verbal state, they have to react in an animalistic way because they have no vocabulary, they have no words. So if your inner child was wounded in the womb even, then there's no words to put that to. So the reaction when the inner child gets cranky and the inner child is upset and the inner child needs attention, it can be this really lashing out kind of energy. So going back and healing that energy and bringing it forward, even if you just bring it forward to a state when they can actually say, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I need a break, my inner child's cranky. That's huge, because now you're not in a defensive state with them. And it really does begin to reduce the energy around the hypervigilance, because we're protecting our inner child. The warrior is trying to protect the inner child, and the warrior is on high alert. So if the inner child isn't threatened, the warrior doesn't have to be on high alert. So you can see how getting the inner child to be in a safe, calm space, the inner warrior can then kind of stand down energetically. And so it's often a huge piece to helping them heal. And it's why a lot of therapies are using things like animals and activities that bring out their inner child, that are playful, to help them release that other energy, because their inner child needs to feel that they're safe as well. So that's all really cool. Wasn't sure I was going there, but there you have it. So on this Halloween, think about ways that you can help yourself, tap into that inner joy, tap into that wonder. I love about the not coloring inside the boxes and inside the lines, because I'm totally against that. It's what I had against coloring books, because you had to stay in the lines, and I just didn't want to. We do a meditation here. Oh, thanks, Jacqueline. We do a meditation here where we put on music it's the crystal bowls that are playing the different chakras. And we have out art supplies, and you just freehand draw while the chakra bowls are playing. And there's no reason for it. I started doing it with teenagers, which was an interesting thing, especially the preteens. And when I was doing it with them, when the music would start, they colored with darker colors. they often drew pictures that were about destruction, especially boys. And the, robots and blowing things up, so they would be drawing that to begin with, and a lot of black and dark gray. And 20 minutes of the bowls playing and them just coloring freehand. By the end, everybody's drawing with all the different colors in the crayons. They were all rainbowy. They were drawing anything. There was no destruction. It was all how the colors work together in harmony. And there was no instruction. That's just what occurred. And I've done this now probably about a dozen times. And it happens for adults as well as for children. With adults, it's usually that they start off drawing what they think they should draw. But by the end of the 20 minutes or a half an hour, they're then actually drawing from their inner child who doesn't care what they're supposed to draw. They're just drawing. And those pictures are always amazing. And you can do it with crayons or paints or I'm not a big fan of pencils because once you get going, they break and then you got to stop the flow and sharpen them. But markers and anything that's going to just kind of go quickly. Those are so great to get your inner child going. And, we are heading into holiday season and the inner child loves to do things like bake and really get their hands sticky and mucky. And the more messy the project, the better. So I keep thinking about making my grandmother's sugar cookies because you had to do the dough. The best way to do the dough was with your fingers. And then even when we made the cookies and then we cut them out, with different forms. And that was always a process. And then you frosted them and then sprinkles just went everywhere. Thanks, Lori. I'm glad you guys like my little screen. I think I said so maybe 2 weeks ago, I made the screen myself from windows from my in-laws' house. They had this huge Victorian house, and when they were renovating the windows, they were getting rid of all of the big old storm windows. And my husband was distraught that they were just going to get thrown out. So I'm like, well, we'll think of something to do with them. So this is one of the projects I did. We stripped it and I just put fabric and made a screen out of it. And we've used it a number of times in our healing rooms and stuff like that, just to kind of create little dividers. But there's a whole bunch of projects you can do with them. But thank you for liking that. The big thing that I wanted to, kind of say to everybody is thank you for your patience, especially sweet Neshi in front of me. Life has been very, very interesting for me over this past few weeks, maybe month and a half. So much turmoil and so much chaos. And Star Nations has been here to kind of like make sure I stay on task and don't sabotage myself. Yay! So Neshi has been, producing my show and even when all sorts of glitches happen, the universe sometimes is just like, do it in your jammies. So know that I'm really, really thankful that you guys have been here for me. And I'm really thankful for all of you who have showed up and watched because it keeps me on path and it keeps me on my mission when I get to do my work with you because it gets it out there for people in case they need it. So thank you for showing up because you guys have been great. Oh, nice. I love all the Halloween emoticons. So you guys have, this really cool night tonight. Go out trick-or-treating or go enjoy some trick-or-treating. And if you're not adventurous, then turn on some crazy old, Peanuts Halloween special or something. So I really love that you guys are here. And I thank you so much for enjoying my program. Thank you. And thanks to Be Live TV for making this, a new platform for us that we can really reach a lot more people. It looks like we're reaching like almost 4 times the people. So thank you to everyone. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks, Margaret. I'm glad you enjoyed the show.